Good evening, everyone. I'd like to start tonight's meeting. It is my first meeting that I'm chairing, by the way, so right, I'd like to start with public participation, please. The public can speak for 3 minutes if you'd like to. If you could stand at the microphone, please, and just speak there. Thank you.
Just here?
Yeah, just there, thank you.
Okay, well, good evening, everybody. I think most of you know me. First of all, I've got to say how impressed I am with the Town Council on displaying a further 5 notice boards. If we go back in history, I came to the very first meeting and suggested that it would be good to have quality notice boards around the town. And you as the Town Council have done that and even excelled yourselves by having a second tranche of 5 other notice boards. But it's occurred to me that I think we should do an audit of all the notice boards in Bexhill, and that way it might even save the Town Council some money if they're considering putting any more. So I'm asking you to set up some form of audit to go around and look at all the notice boards. And when that comes back, I've got other ideas where we could go with it. We might be able to have a competition with the schools, etc. But the first point has got to be audit of all the existing notice boards. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll note that.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing us to speak this evening. My name is George Coleman, and I'm with David Burstone. We're both long-standing members of Bexhill Lions Club and both trustees of our charity. As some of you will remember, we spoke at the community meeting here back in January to seek the council's support with the road closures for our twice-yearly street market, and that support was agreed, for which we were really grateful. We understood at that time that the support was offered to be ongoing. However, following the successful event in May, we were told that the support had been withdrawn by the Finance and Audit Committee, but it was suggested to us that we might be able to appeal against that decision. And so we've come to this evening's meeting to speak to you and seek your support once more for this long-established community event. So I think David would like to say a few more words. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As George has just said, back in January we believed that we had the Council's ongoing support to cover the road closure element of the street market. And our subcommittee then worked really hard to encourage more traders to come, and we rebranded it as Bexhill Street Market to be more inclusive. The May market was indeed larger and a success, judging by the positive feedback we got from traders and the public. There was even a headline in the local paper which said it was a cherished tradition to bring joy to our town. And that's also why we feel it's worth fighting for, and why we're here tonight to appeal against the Finance Committee's decision. Without your support, it's almost certain that this event will cease. The reason we say this is that we've been advised by our national headquarters that for us to take out the necessary insurance for a road closure would cost many thousands of pounds, and that would just make the event unviable. We see that market on 2 weekends a year as primarily a community event, supporting the town and giving residents a different experience and attracting visitors and overall increasing footfall into the town. And as we, Bexhill Lions, marshal the Remembrance Parade under the direction of Bexhill Council, we are aware that you do have this insurance cover. And we are therefore again requesting that the Remembrance Parade arrangement is extended to the street market, as it was planned to be for the May event. Right now, we're in the position of having traders asking us for confirmation of that September weekend date, but we need to know that we have your support for us to continue with our planning, even if that is with a view to developing a longer-term plan with you for future years. So thank you. George and I would be happy to take any questions if you have any.
Thank you
very much.
I think this is on our agenda, item 13, so we'll be discussing it tonight.
Yep.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak from the public?
No, I'll do it on the council
okay.
thing. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, and then we move on to apologies for absence.
Yes. So we've got Councillor Playgrove who's working, Councillor Ruston who should be arriving soon, who's at work, Councillor Hampton's on holiday, Councillor Jacqueline's been called to work, Councillor Winter has another meeting, Councillor Crotty is unwell, and Councillor Wilson is on holiday.
And then to receive declarations of pecuniary and non-pecuniary interests. Councillor Timothy.
Well, the district councillor.
Yeah.
Well, the district council.
And completing the 3, well, the district councillor.
Okay. Thank you. And then chair's announcements, there are none. And then 5, unfortunately, they're unable to attend to this. And then we need to approve the minutes of the following meetings. Do I have a proposer? I have a proposer and a seconder. Yeah. Let's do that. Thank you. Okay. To note minutes from the committee meetings held since the last meeting. I'll just do Appendix B, C, D together. Do I have a proposer? Yeah, and a seconder? Thank you. And also the next one on that, so that's 7B, is to note that Planning and Development Committee was in quorum on the following dates, which were the 15th of May, the 12th of June, and today, again, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Yes, Councillor L.
I realise we've spoken about it before, and it would probably mean for a special motion. But what is our direction for the Planning and Development Committee, due to the fact that we are spending money on having people here for it? Councillors aren't being able to make it. They're not going ahead. The cameras are here. What is our way forward with this committee, and how can we stop spending money on it?
So the next one was
Unnecessarily.
so the next one was 7C, and that was to appoint another 3 members. I think before this, what you're saying is
More members mean more of a chance of it going forward, so if anyone else would like to put their name forward,
and
that
if
would be great. If not,
I mean, as far as, I mean, we can move to C, and then if there aren't any members, we can look to abolish the community. But I think it would be fair to go to C and see if there are three people or 3 councillors that would like to join. Councillor Blinn?
Yeah, given the vast amount of people that are not here today, by all means ask for 3 members to come forward today from who we have here today, but I think it would be rather preemptive to go ahead to abolish that committee, given that we are so low in numbers today. So I would request, if we do not get 3 members to come forward today, that we actually await the next meeting, and we ask when we're fully we've got more members on board, that we ask the members not here today whether they would like to be on board. I think everyone's got to be given the opportunity.
Yes, I do agree, although we have missed now 3 meetings already. I know there's only 10 of us here today. I think that's a fair comment. Councillor Grayson?
Yeah, thank you. I agree with Councillor Plym, but it should have a follow-up of now what we're going to do then, so that we don't put it off another month if there aren't 3 people coming forward.
Yeah, okay.
So it's either a point or
So could we put a motion through to say that if there aren't, that it's looked at being abolished or removed at the next meeting?
So what I think they're saying is, if you defer this item to the next meeting, however, if 3 members are not appointed
At the next
meeting, then the committee will be dissolved. Is that all right?
There should be a discussion
There
on,
should be a discussion.
on dissolving it.
But we will put the vote out today if there's 3 members here now that want to join. And then if there isn't, then we'll defer it for the next meeting. But I think at that meeting, if there isn't another 3 councillors that want to join, then I think we definitely look at what we do with that committee. Okay.
Fine. Might I talk about the general reason for having a planning committee at town council level? Now, I don't know who went to the local plan events recently that were held to show you the Rother local plan, and that shows you what sites have been identified as potential for building. Now, that I can understand the frustration of people in the town council planning committee, because if you look at each individual planning application, there's virtually not a lot you can do about it. The most you can do is an advisory, and in fact the most effective way to do anything about those is to actually turn up to the Rother planning committee and speak to an individual or a town councillor. However, I think if the role of the planning committee was looked at again in wider terms, because from the moment that a lump of grass is declared as potential for building, that is when the town council could get involved and have do some real shaping as to the future of Bexhill, which land, which areas do we see being built, which we don't, and at that point there's none of this, it's not a planning matter. It's a really open discussion, and there's discussions to be had, and the more representation there will be from the town council, the better. So I just wonder if the lack of enthusiasm about a planning committee is because of this trying to do it on an application by application basis, where you are largely impotent, and move it to an overall strategic look. And maybe based around the local plan initially, and then bring up maybe particularly contentious areas coming forward and talk about those in general rather than wait for the application.
Yes, I think that has been looked into, and our town clerk can actually send us a weekly plan, and then if anyone has any issues with that, we can then bring that forward. So if it is a large planning application that's in, then we can bring that into the council. But
I was thinking of not doing it on an application by application basis. I think that's the problem. It should be the whole development of Bexhill viewed against the district plan and the local plan, which is for 5 years. That's talking about a 5-year land supply of land potentially earmarked for housing. Now that is where I think the town council's planning committee can have a big input. It's a bit late now, even though the consultation was there. As I say, I was surprised I didn't bump into more town councillors at those consultation events. I don't know if anyone went, but that was the place where you could have a real genuine input in Bexhill globally, not plot by plot by plot.
okay. Sorry, Councillor Ben.
Yeah, I think Councillor Drayson had his hand up a little bit longer than me, so I'll let him to speak.
Only because Councillor Byrne mentioned it, I will just say, with my chair of Rother District Council's planning hat on, at the last meeting a rural Rother member begged, please can we hear from Bexhill Town Council on planning applications, because we get quite full and detailed things from other councils, but this was somebody out in the stick saying we never hear from Bexhill. So it is important that we actually still do on a application basis, that we take an interest in it, come up with where appropriate, because a lot of them, as he said, you can't do a lot.
Okay. Yeah, Councillor Ben.
Yeah, I'll take Councillor Burns' point there. The last council we managed to decide to move the neighbourhood plan into planning, and that itself feeds into the local plan. I'm very aware as well in today's agenda we have a motion from Councillor Drayson where he discussed a response from the town council from the for their draft local plan. It's not beyond the realms of possibility that we actually delegate that down to the planning committee as well. And so beefing up the role of the planning committee, just like you suggested there, but it does need members to come on board. Without the members coming on board, we could put everything we want onto that committee, but it won't go anywhere. As regard to plan application comments, we do make comments on quite a regular basis when we do meet. We don't get any replies, and when we did ask for a reply, we were told you're not going to get one because we treat you just like a member of the public.
Okay. Sorry, Councillor Thomas.
This point about beefing up the planning committee, because at the moment I think our record is 7 minutes to go through tick box, and that's why people don't want to turn up half an hour early just to go through and do a tick box. If we beef it up, as has been suggested in the past, I think more people will be interested in actually joining, and then we won't have this ridiculous situation where 2 people don't turn up and that's it. We haven't got a quorum.
Yeah, I think there's a few issues with that. Is that there's quite a few meetings with that as well. That's why I personally didn't join as well. But I think we can definitely have a look today, see if there's 3 councillors that would like to join it, and then next time we can have a look again. So, yeah. So I'm going to move to C and ask if there are any councillors that would like to join the Planning and Development Committee. Yeah. Sorry, yeah. So that's Councillor.
You need a seconder and a vote.
Okay, so I need I need a seconder for, yeah, got a seconder. And can I have a vote, please? Just to have Tony on sorry. As I said, my first one, so.
Lost the track.
Yeah, sorry. So that's for councillor. Anyone else that would like to, any other councillors? No.
I think it's probably inappropriate for me as a
so
member of Rother Planning to stand. So it's not disinterest.
Yeah.
It's just I think there'd be far too much conflict there.
That's fine. So,
and I'm not allowed.
Right, chairman. Okay, that's fine. So what we'll do with that is we'll defer it for the next meeting, if that's okay. Okay, so that's fine. That's referred for the next meeting. And then we move on to 8. So it's recommendations from committees, and on A, first one is I'd like to pass that over to you, Lynn.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Chair. It was resolved or it was pointed out to us at our previous finance meeting that we were slightly above the accepted percentage of Rother councillors. We have actually 3 on the finance committee, and that meant that we were over the statutory 40%, which was agreed at our AGM. So we decided to ask at this meeting for another Bexhill Town Councillor to express interest about joining our finance committee to even up the numbers so that we can carry on with 8 members, which would alleviate the 40% situation. So if anyone's here and would like to volunteer to come onto the finance committee, I'd be grateful if you could identify yourself at this stage. Councillor Flynn,
Okay.
are you volunteering? No. Well done.
No, I've got his arm up his back.
Do we have a seconder for that? Okay, we've got a seconder. And can I have a vote for that, please, for Councillor Flynn Finance? Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Flynn.
Okay.
Thank you. And then the next one is...
Right, the second recommendation was it was resolved to recommend to full council that the grants and donation policy is streamlined to offer £10,000 during the January, May and September meeting. Each application can be made up to a value of £10,000 and for smaller grants up to £1,000 to be considered at each meeting. An additional £12,000 to be allocated from the general reserves to increase the grants and donation budget to £42,000. When a grant application is submitted, the committee will be advised of the previous town council grants received by that organisation. I'd like to request the full council's agreement to accept this change in procedure. I think we had a bit more of a complicated arrangement with the amount of money that we were allowed to release on grants. So presumably you've all seen that, and Councillor L. Sorry.
So I just, I was at that meeting. I'd just like to explain why that came about. I believe our grants policy was a little bit different. So some months we'd be able to offer up to 10,000, some months we'd be able to offer up to 1,000. We wanted, or we looked at lumping all that in, having 3 months of the year, so January, May and September. January to sort of set up the year, May to start the run up to summer, and September to run up to Christmas, obviously. And instead of splitting that 30,000 in bits and pieces, we'll have £10,000, up to £10,000 to offer as grants and donations in each of those months. And then add in £12,000 to the whole year, which would allow us to offer grants and donations of £1,000 for each meeting that we have during the year, if we can, for each month, to be able to offer up to £1,000 if anyone needs anything a little bit quicker or on a smaller scale. So we just thought, we believed that that would help us to pass over some grants a little bit easier and make it a little bit of a simpler solution to some problems that we've been having over the past with grants and donations.
Yeah, can I take that to the vote?
Do we need a seconder for that?
Second? Yeah. Okay.
I'll second it.
There you go. Got a seconder.
Right, okay. So,
And then a vote, please. Yeah. It's been voted, thank you.
right, and the final recommendation was, it was resolved to recommend that full council to delegate the Finance and Audit Committee to investigate the banks for sale in the town as alternative premises for the town council and any other suitable properties to accommodate future growth. I feel this is a very prudent request for the Finance and Audit Committee, because we don't want to be missing any potential to grow, because we're here to give a good service to the people of Bexhill, and we don't want that to be restricted in any way. So if an opportunity comes up to take it, we'd like our interest to be noted. So that's why this was recommended for you all to give a vote. So can I have a seconder for that?
I just wanted to talk on it.
Oh yes, okay.
I wonder whether I could put an amendment in for that, because it reads to delegate to the Finance and Audit Committee to investigate the banks for sale in the town. It's quite specific, and delegating to a committee. I'll word this out and see if it sounds what I want to say. I think it should read, it resolved to recommend to full council to delegate to the town clerk to investigate properties for sale in the town as alternative premises for the town council, as and when suitable for accommodate future growth. Because I don't think it should take a precedence and take over any work that we've got now, and the person who's in the prime position to understand when it is ready to move the corporate body to a different position would be the person that's the head of the administration of that organisation. And so I'd very much like the town clerk to be the person that feeds into the Finance and Audit Committee and come to them with properties that are available when they occur and when it's suitable. But I haven't discussed with the town clerk, so I don't know whether it's something
that's probably what was getting on that.
I think
Shall I do
it's-
another?
yeah,
Okay.
Councillor Tempay,
Yeah.
Councillor Fraser,
Councillor.
Councillor L.
Okay.
Yes, thank you, Chair.
I thought, because I was at the same meeting, I thought we had come to that recommendation specifically because the town clerk had indicated to us quite strongly that they were at capacity. So it was prudent, at your word, to actually think about that as a finance committee, because obviously it will be down, in our remit as far as money goes. Because there was quite a discussion, wasn't there? I mean, you might want to add something.
Yeah,
Councillor Hill.
So the reason we actually stated the bank was we wanted the main energy to go towards looking at the banks because of how they're set up at the moment. Access is quite inclusive in banks. There's quite secure locations. They're set up ready for offices. They're pretty much ready to go buildings for a town council. We also did say, and any other suitable properties. I think the idea behind that was, maybe we could have worded it a little bit better. You're absolutely right, Councillor Pym. The idea behind that was we're put on a mailing list by agencies or any other such companies, and they get back to us when there's suitable properties available, rather than us having to chase all the time. It's just so we don't miss out if anything does come out, or does, if anything becomes available, rather than us chasing and saying we really need one now. Is if that chance does come available, that we're there to be able to say yes to it, and that could be a simple mailing list or a simple just our number being on someone else's phone to say, look, this has come up, how do you feel about it? But the main energy that we wanted to provoke was towards the banks in general, because they're big central buildings, they're buildings that we want to see open in town, and they also suit our needs as a town council and as offices.
Councillor Carroll?
Thank you, Chair. Is it me?
Can I go, Councillor
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just going to say,
sorry.
I think anything we delegate to any committee ends up getting delegated to the clerk anyway. So it doesn't matter whose name she's doing it, she's going to get that. But I fully agree with Councillor Pym, because his wording doesn't stop us looking at the banks, and yes, that was what prompted the discussion, because there's so many banks. The important thing is we're not waiting till we get to the end of the lease and then go, we've got to find somewhere. We should be constantly looking for somewhere, and if something comes up, we should consider doing it. So I would go with Councillor Pym's amendment, because it doesn't exclude the banks. And yes, the town clerk will be doing it anyway.
Councillor Carroll?
The only problem I see of it, we've got to start looking a bit further than Bexhill Town Centre. There's plenty of properties that are empty now in Bexhill. And to put it in there, the main complaint I get from residents in Sidley that there is no parking in Bexhill. It's a nightmare to get to. There's no free bus from Sidley to Bexhill, and they don't want to come down and make that journey because they can't be bothered. So it's tricky, but we always centre in on Bexhill Town Centre. Bexhill's a bigger place, and we have to look further afield as well. The right building might be there, the right land might be there, and we're just not looking for it. But I do agree we need to be on all the mailing lists. And yes, the next stage will be something bigger, but just to put my bit in there. Thank you.
Councillor Goss, if that's okay.
The only thing I would say is that if you're going to go on a mailing list, you need to develop some sort of specification of what you're looking for. Because are you in 20, 30, 40,000 square feet or whatever? Because it's going to make a big difference in what's available and what goes in.
Yeah, shall I give a little update?
Yeah,
Because I
okay.
feel,
That's okay.
yeah. So this came out of me reporting back about the security measures. So I wasn't asking to move or to expand or get any growth. It was just that I was reporting back that we are trying to put in a security barrier, and we were struggling to get that. And then the councillors spoke about we're investing money into a property that we are almost at capacity at, and I agree, we are almost at capacity downstairs. So if we want to recruit more staff or grow, we are going to have to convert upstairs to make it suitable for staff. Then the committee said, well, if we're going to start converting upstairs, we might as well look for a bigger building. The banks are up for sale, why don't we look at them? Then it went to something like, well, not just banks, let's look at whatever's up for sale, which is how we got to this, which is, so I suppose, yes, I'll be the one doing the seeking anyway, It's where I report it back to. So if you want me to do the seeking, do you want me to report it back to the Finance Committee, or do you want to report it back to full council? So I think if you ask me to do it from here, I'll be reporting back to here. But the original recommendation was to report it back to Finance, which isn't part of Finance's terms of reference. So they wouldn't normally be seeking property, but this is why they come to you to ask, is it okay for them to do it? So I've got down for the amendment is that for me to investigate properties in the town as alternative premises as and when is suitable. I'm not sure how I would measure to know when it was suitable to start looking. That's the only thing. Because at the moment when we report back, until I know what our next staffing structure is, we are fine where we are. You see what I mean? If you take on some more staff and you know when that might be, then we know when the next move might be. But the committee was saying, why wait? Because if something comes up now, wouldn't we want to get it now because it's available rather than miss out? So I understand it's quite a tricky
Chair.
decision to make.
That isn't what happened. You were very specific about everyone was crowded downstairs, and it really was hinging on the fact that we perhaps were needed to spend. Well, was that wise? And you were concerned about people's welfare.
It's all right. I actually, councillor, it was actually spoken about from the councillors about being downstairs. Our town clerk did say that she was at capacity, but it was fine for now. That was spoken about, if I remember rightly. Can I? Yeah.
Sorry.
Councillor Grayson first,
I was
please.
just going to say, the clerk's just described the classic chicken and egg. So I got no help for you there. Carry on.
What do you want to do? So I think that was the outcome was, well, look, let's just keep looking all the time, and I'll keep reporting back what's available, and then the Finance Committee look to see what I've given them, and then they decide whether or not to go in viewing and see if it's worth looking at. I think that's where we got to get here.
Yeah. Councillor Hill?
I think we're also looking into how long we've got left on our lease, and will it be worth looking into something else, because that gap that we might pay for our rent now might be able to be closed if we have our own property. And that's why the banks were so specific, not because we actually want to move now, we need something now. Banks are just suitable for what we need. Let's have a look at them, direct your energy onto that, don't go looking into every single building, because that's not what we're looking for now. It's just an idea to say, let's have a look at the banks. They're suitable as a property. They've got disability access down the bottom. They're quite secure. We don't need to put up any walls. It will be our property if it's available. We'll just see what the prices are on them and how it all works, and then get ourselves on a mailing list. And as and when property comes up, we will be told. We will be given that information, because otherwise we'll be looking at property every day. I mean, we've all had a house or moved house, and we know what it's like. It's a full-time job looking into property. We don't have that time. It was just an idea to look into the properties that are available in the town.
I'm just going to start bringing it to an end, if that's okay. Can I just Councillor Bransford and Councillor
Okay.
Flynn?
Well, I wanted to summarise that the conversation was initially about the potential work that may need to be done. We agreed that there's a break clause, 5-year break clause, which comes into effect in 2027, but we didn't want to wait until New Year's Eve 2027. We wanted to look at the overall picture and make an informed decision and give us plenty of time to make a decision, rather than make a knee-jerk reaction at the end of the first 10 years, first break.
Councillor Flynn, and then...
Yeah, just to probably summarise my feelings about this is, I think that the right person to initiate these inquiries would be the town clerk, as and when that's a judgment that be made, and I think it should be reported to full council rather than Finance Committee, because then you've got a whole corporate decision to be made there and then.
Okay.
In fact, it's probably something that the clerk is probably doing on a regular basis anyway, and there's probably no need for this motion at all.
Okay. I don't think it is something that the clerk's looking at, because you wouldn't be able to, without our without a motion. Am I right?
No, you're right, I haven't been looking, because there's no direction from the council to move. We haven't made any. There was a motion recently where we looked at the church and a place in Sidley.
Yeah,
we did that and reported back, and that was specific, yeah.
So I think we just need to basically make a decision, really. I think, are you happy to put a motion forward that it goes to full council if there is a building, and that the town clerk can have a look at some properties in the town?
Can I just, sorry
Yeah.
to interrupt, I think it would make things a lot more streamlined to make it a decision of full council, because if it was just the finance committee, we would have to make a recommendation, so that's going to cut out that level. So if we make it the delegation for full council, I think that makes adequate sense, very good sense.
So are we happy to put for a motion? Yeah, go on, I'll just take two more questions. Yeah. Councillor Thomas?
Yes, the idea of restricting it to just the finance committee, or I think it would make sense for everybody to have the remit to look, keep our eyes open, so that if anything comes up, rather than just walking past, just keep an eye open.
Yeah, but I think the town clerk will be on the mailing list, and the town clerk will be having a look at the properties.
Yes, no, I don't mean just restricted to the town clerk, but everybody.
Yeah.
Keep our eyes open.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Just this is, I agree with everything that's been said, so I'm almost going to argue against myself. When a building has been potentially identified, and we found this with council buildings and currently with the men's shed that I'm part of, often the building is too big for your immediate needs, and before going forward you can go to someone like RVA and say, is there another organisation looking for a home or looking for office space or whatever? And it strikes me that the finance committee could look at the building, look at the package around it, and by the time it came to full council, say, I'd like you to consider this at this much money and this much rent, with the proviso that we have a statement of intent from this organisation or that organisation to take a room or space or office, and then, so if you like, the proposal has been pre-digested by the committee and it's in some sort of financial shape before it comes to full council. I worry about that, as you said, then making it too long. So
I think that has been discussed, that if we had a building and there was an organisation that we could merge with, I think that has been discussed. Obviously nothing's been agreed.
But I think on a building by building basis, and you know, we're talking over a 2-year time period, which people might be available. So it's about chicken and egg again. Finding a building, once you concentrate your efforts on it, do you want the finance committee to do some work on it first? Or do you want it to come to council? And if it comes to council, the first thing council's going to say is, can we set up a committee to look at the viability? So, which way?
I'd like to put a motion forward, if that's okay, and then bring it to a vote, if that's all right. To look for a building, bring it back to full council.
I don't know if the clerk managed to get some wording.
Well, you did write something. But
You could probably amend it a little bit,
Okay.
because it did cover any buildings, the original
Okay.
one. So you could probably say something like, for the town clerk to investigate the banks for sale in the town as alternative premises for the town council and any other suitable properties to accommodate future growth and report back to full council.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Thank you. I'm cool with that.
I did also have, when we say Bexhill, that will be as a whole.
Yeah, there's no
Councillor
mention of
Carroll's
the
mentioned.
town centre, so that is, so we'll just register with all the local agents saying we're looking for new premises and see what we get sent, and then I can put it on the agenda each month and I'll bring you the list of properties that are around, yeah?
Yeah, that's fine. So can I have a proposal for that?
Yeah.
And a seconder? Okay, I've got a seconder. And then can we put it to a vote, please? Okay, thank you very much. Right, next item on our agenda is 8B, that is the Amenities Committee. They've looked into a cleaning contract with Wettons, and would like to just, for maintenance and cleaning. I'm sure everyone's seen that.
Can I just say, as an update, because Councillor Wilson's the chair of Amenities, and I'll say in his absence as his vice chair, that the suggestion on the agenda was it was resolved that the committee recommends to full council to continue with Rother District Council carrying out both maintenance and cleaning, but subsequently to the issuing of this agenda there's been an offer or a response to an inquiry from a present existing company who have come back with an extremely reasonable grant, which I think we've all seen this quote, and we've all had a chance to digest it. And I suppose under the circumstances we could say either continue with Rother District Council or go with these new providers who are going to work directly with ourselves. Is that a fair assessment? So I think we've got two alternatives. One would be to carry on as we are, and the second one would be to go with this new company who we've all seen the quotes for. They seem to be extremely...
Are we able to...
Can
I? Rother aren't offering to do it fully.
Okay.
So that email that I sent you with Wettons is that Rother said no, they withdrew the option for you to pay them to continue to maintain and clean the toilets. Hence why we've gone direct to the cleaners that they're using to negotiate something direct with them, because that's not an option anymore. So the only option is either this one or we re-tender and look at the other cleaning companies again.
So I'm sure you've all seen Wettons quite. I thought it was very, very good compared to what we had before. There's no questions, and
just because until that was clarified, I was going to say, can we talk about that in public? Because those figures were sent to us as members. Should they not be in the public domain?
They were in the public.
They're not in the public domain, so the decision is you either want to proceed with the quote that you've been given, or you want to go back to another tender process.
Okay. I suppose we accept the quotation we've been given.
So I've got a proposal. I've got a second.
Yes, definitely.
And then can we bring that to a vote, please? Thank you very much. And then it was resolved to recommend to full council that £15,000 of seal money are used to support the Bexhill Heritage bus shelter projects. Again, do I have a proposer for that? Yeah. Do I have a seconder? And can we go for a vote, please? Anyone abstaining? Yeah, abstaining or?
Sorry?
Are you voting?
Okay. Yeah, thank you. And then, right, we move on to number 9, and that is the co-option for Sidley Ward vacancy. And I'd like to pass it over to the town clerk, if that's okay.
Oh, yeah, sure. Just to give you a summary before we make some decisions. So, some of the feedback from the last co-option process has kind of led us here to decide what this next co-option process is. So I've shared the NOUT guidance again, so everyone is clear that it has to be in law. You advertise the vacancy. Anyone who meets the electoral conditions can turn up and apply for that vacancy, and then you have a strikeout vote if you have more than one candidate until you get to your successful candidate. So last time we asked for a covering letter, CV, and then we asked the candidates to come to a meeting, speak for a few minutes about why they wanted to be a councillor, and then had a strikeout vote. So there was some discussion that maybe that wasn't the best way to do it. So I'm giving you the option before I advertise and go forward for the co-option for July's meeting is to get a direction from you of what you want me to advertise for, so what you want the candidates to give you, and how you want the process on the night to take place. Not the voting process, but whether you want them to speak, whether you want them to answer a question. I'm not quite sure. So it's over to you to see what you want to do.
Okay. So yeah, there's two options basically, which are that we ask the candidates for their like a CV, send it over, we can see that, or they just come in and they just speak in front of us without knowing anything really. So I'll just take a vote on each one.
Have a chat about it, yeah.
Yeah, or if anyone would like to ask, yeah, Councillor Drayton.
I don't like the speaking. It disadvantages somebody who can't make that night. We had, I think, some last time who couldn't come that night. It should be a CV, and perhaps, I don't know, I don't think we can have shortlists, but then you could always speak to shortlists, but it's too hit and miss on that one night as to whether, especially as we're talking about July now, or it would be disadvantage to a lot of people.
Okay, Councillor Earl.
Being a co-opted councillor myself, I did appreciate the chance to be able to speak to the rest of the council, to be able to make my point, and to be able to say why I wanted to join, why I wanted to be a part of that council. I also did write a bit as well that I sent in, which was also a good thing to be able to do, because you can put everything on paper and be able to explain your reasons and your background, and all the rest of the councillors can read that in their own time and understand. But having the chance to actually address the council and really make my point as to why I wanted to be a part of the town council, for me was very important.
Okay. Councillor Carroll.
Yeah, I've been privy to two different elections now, and in both there's been different scenarios where one, a gentleman turned up and didn't realise he had to talk and totally lost his way, dreadful, which wasn't his own fault. It's probably we were still learning, and the options wasn't out there. But also we've been to meetings where people didn't realise they had to send the CV in. They thought they were coming to just do the interview. So you sort of damned if you do, damned if you don't. But is there not a way we can do both?
Yeah, there is. Yeah,
I mean, I'm all for us as a council coming up with 3 very simple questions regarding Bexhill and Bexhill Town Council, and then answers coming back in either letter form or being able to speak about it. I think that might be an option to give people a chance to speak about their passion of the town. It's not just a CV of saying what schools they've been to, it's exactly what they want to bring.
Yeah, I agree that we should have some sort of CV or something in that we can see before they arrive, and then they can talk if they'd like to talk at the...
I would like it not to be so intense, like when you say a CV, people get scared of a CV.
Yeah, for an example.
Yeah. But that's where I am with it. I think there needs to be a way, but people show their skills in different ways, whether it be speaking or writing.
Yeah, that's fine. Councillor Drayton?
I like Councillor Earl's suggestion there about like 3 questions rather than the CV. We want people to cover these points, and then to answer against my own thing then is possibly we have to find a date when they are all available and have an extraordinary meeting to meet them rather than disqualify one of them by not being available.
Yeah, I was going to suggest that maybe if they sent us a little bit of information, a little background information about what they've done to date, and a few words to describe what they think they can offer and why their reasons are for standing as a councillor. Just keep it as simple as possible. The problem that I may have with the 3 questions is for how long is it going to take us to decide which 3 questions we're going to ask. So if we give them the chance...
That's question 1.
To brief and meaningful, and then put it in their own words, I think we could give a good evaluation and give a cut-off date for that, and then we'll hopefully have something to review.
Before I take any more, I just want to ask Clark a question. Can we do that, have our own questions that we want to ask, or is it set of what we ask?
Do you mean asking them before they come in?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So that's what you'd need to agree tonight, because I need to advertise this for the next meeting, because you're supposed to co-opt at the next possible meeting. So the only reason why we haven't done it tonight is because we need a process. So really you need to co-opt at the next meeting. So tonight I need to know what questions you'd like me to put into that advert, so they come back with a covering letter or some sort of statement that I'll gather with a closing date, and then I'll put them into a report, invite them to that meeting, and then present you with the report before they come in.
Okay. Could I ask a couple more questions. That's yeah, Councillor Carroll.
Just regarding Councillor Drayson's comment there of not being here, if there are 3 questions, is there not a way that we can have their answers recorded or pre-recorded by a clerk or fellow councillor, so they don't miss their opportunity due to being on holiday or something? If we keep it to something like a 50-word answer minimum, because some people will come back with 3 pages, some people will come back with a paragraph. You know, I'm not saying that's the number, I'm just saying like a minimum, a maximum amount of numbers, which would give everyone the same time duration and the same impact answer. That's what I'd be looking for, an impact answer. You know, what are your thoughts towards Bexhill Council, or what could you bring to Bexhill Town Council?
Okay.
Those
we need to think about that tonight. So
yeah,
I'm just that done. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, asking people to develop a CV or submit a CV type thing is difficult, and a lot of people have difficulty putting that sort of thing together anyway. They're all going to be in different formats. Couldn't we just have a simple form that just says sort of name, background, and maybe the question, you know, why do you want to become a councillor or something, so that on the ad it just says apply for a form. We send them a very simple form, so they all come back in the same sort of format, and they're easy to sort of compare and see what they're saying about themselves.
Yeah.
Slightly worried about if someone's going to become a councillor, they are going to have to be available for council meetings. So it's a bit worrying if the potential councillors are saying I can't make Wednesday evenings, or if they do that right off the bat, it's a bit of a problem.
And it does rule them out straight away.
Well, no, I'm saying I would have thought most proper, serious candidates would make room for attending an interview, just like a job interview. You wouldn't say, "Sorry, can't make it on the Friday." It would come to the top of your. It would go to the top of your list.
I was co-opted as well. I was actually away on the date, and the date is set. So if I've got a holiday and I'm away that day. I understand what you're saying, but there could be a quite good reason for that. I'm not going to cancel my whole holiday to So that's how.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. That you want to make as many meetings as you could, but we're saying we're doing it next month. If people have got plans for in the next 4 weeks, then they've got that plan and they can't change it. So if it was a year's time or whatever, 3-4 months time maybe, I think in a month, if someone's got a plan in a month, then they've got a plan.
Yeah, okay, the time scale, I agree with you.
Yeah.
So it's Councillor L.
Councillor L. I'll take the 4 and then we'll move on if that's okay.
Yes.
If I could simplify it and incorporate everything into the process, I'd like to make a proposal to say, if we could ask for, I can't quite remember, I haven't written a cover letter in a long time, is it 200 or 250 word cover letter that includes their background and why they'd like to be a part of the town council. So if everyone could send one of those in, and then on the day, if they can attend and would like to make a speech, we'll give them 3 minutes to speak. And if anyone is away and they've sent in their cover letter, then they can be co-opted as well. So all 3 things are put into one basket there. The cover letter is a must, and then if they come and they wish to speak, they're able to. And if they're not here on the day, then they're able to be co-opted if they sent in their cover letter.
Yeah, can I just move on to Councillor Flynn and then we'll... Yeah.
Just an observation, really. A councillor cannot participate in a council meeting if they're not here, yet we can co-opt someone onto the council when they're not here. Just a perverse observation there. I can't understand it, but that's the way council works.
Councillor Grayson?
I very much like what Councillor Goss said, and it's basically what you would put on the front page of a leaflet if you were having an election. Yeah. And I'm sitting here because 2 people signed mine because nobody stood against me. So I'm here for 2 signatures, and not because I had to sell myself to anyone. Well, I did to those 2 people. But we've got to be careful we don't ask for too much, because you can go and stand for election with none of it.
Okay. Councillor Thomas?
Yes, I agree with that, Councillor Byrne. Yes, if they have to come in here on a Wednesday, then we've got a reasonable idea. If they say, sorry, we can't make it, we have this problem on planning that half our committee are not available on a Wednesday. So we do need to rule out anybody that can't turn up. So we need to be a little cautious.
Again, it's a set date, so it's not a week. This is a weekly thing that we come to, or a monthly thing that we come to as a council. If we can't make them, then I understand that. But this is one date that people may not be able to make. So, but I'd like to move forward.
We have to remember this is people book holidays a year, sometimes longer in advance. We can't be ruling people out and then expecting people to change family holidays for that one date that unfortunately happens.
Especially being a summer as well.
Exactly that.
So, yeah, I agree that councillors have to be prepared to make time, but it's one date of the year which they may be away. So I think we just need to put a motion forward really for this, if that's okay. And we need the questions there. So does Councillor L want to put a motion forward?
I would like to, if that's okay with everybody. I mean, if the cover letter, Councillor Drayton obviously had a different idea to the cover letter. So.
I think it should be a format that they're all similar, so you're not getting different things from different people.
Yeah, we have one format and
so I mean, a very simple form. You can't put much on a CV anyway these days because it's illegal. So basically, it's name and a sort of simple, a little bit simple thing, background, a little box to fill in, and then why do you want to join?
Bexhill. Forward the motion. We just like those three set questions on there, and put that forward. They don't need to be.
Would we still give them a chance to speak if they would like to when they come?
I think so.
I think that's important if they'd like to.
I think one question we could desperately ask is, are you willing to be on the planning committee? You're in.
Chair, I've had to change my holiday and I can't come on the next meeting. Can I still be a councillor?
Just a thought, which has now just deserted me. Yes. How are we going to inform the successful candidate? Because if the successful candidate was one of the people who was selected by letter and can't turn up, then it's only fair to let them all know exactly what the process is, to say something like, you'd be invited to attend, or if you wish to amplify the points in your covering letter, you will be informed in 3 working days, 4 working days after the council. But I think it's important to have that timetable set in stone.
Yeah.
I think that's the whole point today, wasn't it? That we have got a time. We will be setting a timetable.
And it's a public meeting, so you'll decide at the meeting and they will join the table at the meeting. If they're not present, then they'll be contacted the next day to inform them that they need to come in, sign their declaration of office, DPIs, etc.
But they'll be out of the room and out of earshot while we're deliberating.
No, it's all done in public.
Oh, yeah. So you've got to stand up and suffer the ignominy of coming third.
Yeah.
Real politics, isn't it?
We've done away with Don.
Or fifth.
So could I?
Thank God I was elected.
To bring that to a vote.
I'd just like to keep this simple. I'm seeing a form, name, address, contact details, background information, reason why you want to join Bexhill Council, the closing date for your inquiries will be whatever it is, and the announcement of the successful candidate will be made at full council and you're invited to attend that.
Yeah, if we could make them aware that they're invited to attend and speak if they'd like to.
Would a maximum word allowance be appropriate, just to help the clerk not get like a whole dossier?
So I'm thinking, so you've got a form, so we'll design a form that says their name, their address, then to tick that they meet all of the criteria, so they're over 18, they're an elector and all that jazz. Then we say, tell us a bit about your background and why you want to be a councillor, max 250 words, ... continue on a separate page if necessary. And then the bit at the bottom says the closing date for these to be received is X. If you the clerk will contact you to invite you to the next meeting, which is on this day. At that meeting, You may wish to speak. You will be asked if you wish to speak. If you're unable to come to the meeting, you will still be eligible for a co-option.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you make it a fillable PDF form so that those who can't write very well can at least fill it in
We don't
on
have
the
that
screen?
software. We don't have that software.
They can copy paste it.
Yeah, they'll have to copy and paste it. We don't have Adobe.
I'd like to now bring it to
But also include one of the criteria that are available on Wednesday.
You can't do that.
They-
No, they get a legal summons to attend a meeting, so that's they should be.
So I'd like to bring it to a
Yeah.
vote to move on, if
Some
that's
of the
okay.
planning meetings and nobody turns up.
Yeah, so do I have a proposer for that? Yeah, proposer. And do I have a seconder? Seconder. And then can we have a vote, please, on that? Unanimous? Yeah, that's both things. Thank you very much.
Do we have to say what the closing date is, or is that something
I think
that...
that was
Just
Yeah,
And when's the opening date?
well, I'll open it tomorrow because we've not got long. So if I open it tomorrow, the meeting's on the 24th. The papers go out on the 18th, so I could close it on the 17th. Put them all together on the 17th and put out a confidential report for you on the 18th with all their details. Yeah.
Is that a doable timescale? Is that a doable timescale?
Yeah.
Right, I'd like to move on to 10, which is, so we have received the update on the work of the town mayor. I'm sure everyone's read that. And then 11 is reports from councillors. So you have 3 minutes. Councillors. Yes, please.
County first.
Yeah.
Hello, does anyone else hear us? Well, good evening, councillors, colleagues. A few things I'd like to mention. Recently, the new public protection order that comes into force on the 1st of July 2024, which is covers Herbrand Walks and Marks and all beaches in Rother, but not, it doesn't include Bexhill like properly as Canberra and Herbrand Walk, which bans all vehicles from parking on the beach and will be enforced by the Rother District Council's enforcement officers, NES. Which is good because of last year we had a lot of issues with the Herbrand Walk and antisocial behaviour, drugs, fly tipping problems. Unfortunately, the minority have ruined it for the majority, but that's just the nature of it. Again, what went on earlier was said earlier when you were discussing the Planning Committee of Bexhill Town Council as Vice Chair of Rother District Council Planning Committee from other colleagues and witnessing what parishes and town councils, what influence they can have at planning meetings. I think it's important to note that it would be good to have more input from Bexhill Town Council at Planning Committee to kind of, we had an application at Seabourn Road recently which could have been dealt with, could have been the heard from Bexhill Town Council definitely. And then on to the third point, which is toilets. I'm still getting a lot of hassle from toilets from residents, a lot. So we've had Little Common, we've had people urinating and defecating outside the toilets in Norman's Bay and Little Common Roundabout. I understand they're not in your control at the moment. I would really respectfully ask you to reconsider the position and renegotiate with Rother District Council to see if we can find a compromise on some, if not all, but some, to reopen, because I live in Sibley and I represent St Mark's and they're both suffering as a result of the toilets being closed. And the longer they're closed, the more maintenance they're going to need, the more money they're going to need to spend to be brought up to scratch. And just generally, it's affecting people quite widely and it hasn't gone away. So that's it really. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, I was just going to point out that I'd met up with Councillor Ian Hollidge earlier on and he sent his apologies. He was due to come here to give her a divisional county councillor's report, but he can't make it. He's at another meeting.
Thank you. So yeah, I'd like to receive any ward reports from town councillors. Any? No. And then move on to 12 on the agenda, and I'd like to hand that over to the clerk.
Thank you, Chair. So for some of you, this is the first time you've gone through our audit process. So we'll just go through it step by step. This is the approvals that we need to give to send off to the external auditor to verify our accounts for 23-24. So if we start with A, one of your roles is to review your system of internal control to make sure that you've got all the controls in place to look after the finances and keep things in order. So I've prepared for you a review of your current controls. I don't foresee we need to make any changes to it, but I need to put it to you as the council to review that to see if you are happy to continue. So that's for a vote on resolving to review the internal control.
Okay. Do I have a proposer for that? And do I have a seconder? Yeah. And can I put that to a vote, please? Unanimous?
Lovely, thank you. So what we do is the chair and the RFO sign a statement of internal control for the auditor. So what we're signing to say is that everything that we did within that review we've just done is what we carry out on a regular basis, and that all the decisions that we've been making are lawful and reviewed and under scrutiny. So if you approve that today, me and Councillor Hussain will sign that now. So that's a vote.
Can I get a proposer for that? And a seconder? Yeah, a seconder. And can I put that to a vote, please? Unanimous.
There we go. Lovely, thank you. So the next thing is you are presented with the internal audit reports. There's two parts to a town council audit. First is we have an independent auditor that comes into the office and goes through all of the invoices, payroll, VAT, all of our documents to make sure that everything we're doing in that control report is correct. So they've carried out that review and I've put that report out there for you to see. You'll see there's one decision that we need to make, and that is to increase the fidelity guarantee that the council currently have. So that's the protection you have within your insurance for fraud. So when the council was first opened, it was set at a value of 300,000 because that was what your balances were when you first became a town council. Now that the balances are almost £1 million, then the recommendation is that the fidelity guarantee should match the balances that you're currently holding. So the recommendation from the internal auditor is for us to increase the fidelity guarantee limit to £1 million, which is quite normal for a council of this size. So that just needs a vote, please.
Okay. Do I have a proposer for that? And do I have a seconder? Yeah. And can I put that to a vote, please?
Okay. Right, I'll get that done. Thank you.
Sorry, Chair, can I just point out something from the report that we just agreed? I think it's very important that we highlight a couple of sentences on here, and I think from members of the public and people that are looking in. One of the items that we've agreed on here, it says, our sample testing did not uncover any areas of misstatements. Now, all misstatements. Now, I think that's really good to understand. Also, that the auditor was pleased to report that overall the systems and procedures that you have in place are fit for purpose. And again, that's another thing that we should be very proud of, that we've actually got that in place. And lastly, it says, it is therefore our opinion that the systems and internal procedures at Bexhill Town Council are well established and followed. And I think that is credit to our town clerk, our newly appointed RFO, and the staff that operate within that building. So I would like a vote of thanks to the staff and to the clerk for all the work they put forward to produce that.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's no mean feat, I'll tell you that. So next bit is this document that you will see. So this is the document that we send to the external auditor. So it's 6 pages and we complete that tonight. So the page 3 is the one that's been signed by the internal auditor. So they're verifying to the external auditor that everything we've got in place is working. There's a couple of things not covered because we don't hold petty cash and we haven't certified ourselves exempt. If you've got a really small income and expenditure, you can sort of certify yourself outside of this process, but we don't apply for that. So you'll see 2 ticks in not covered. Otherwise, they've all been ticked yes, which is good. So section 1 is the annual governance statement, and that is where you tonight are agreeing that we've done all of the right things we need to do with regards to governance, and following, you've heard me speak about it before, the Joint Practitioner's Guide, which is the book that we use to check everything is done to the right regs. So under those conditions, what I need to do is read out these statements to you for you to either agree or not agree. So I believe we're agreeing to them all, but I'll go along, and if you say no, we can discuss it when we get there. So I think you'll be saying yes. So I read out the statement, and you read back to me yes or no. Okay, so I'll just run through them. So number one is we've put in place arrangements for effective financial management during the year and for the preparation of the accounting statements.
Yes.
We maintained an adequate system of internal control, including measures designed to prevent and detect fraud and corruption, and reviewed its effectiveness.
Yes.
We took all reasonable steps to assure ourselves that there are no matters of actual or potential non-compliance with laws, regulations and proper practices that could have a significant financial effect on the ability of this authority to conduct its business or manage its finances.
Yes.
We provided proper opportunity during the year for the exercise of electors' rights in accordance with the requirements of the accounts and audit regulations.
Yes.
We carried out an assessment of the risks facing this authority and took appropriate steps to manage these risks, including the introduction of internal controls and or external insurance cover where required.
Yes.
We maintained throughout the year an adequate and effective system of internal audit of the accounting records and control systems.
Yes.
We took appropriate action on all matters raised in reports from internal and external audit.
Yes.
And lastly, we considered whether any litigation, liabilities or commitments, events or transactions occurring either during or after the year end have a financial impact on this authority, and where appropriate have included them in the accounting statements.
Yes.
Great, so if you're all happy, then the chair of the meeting and myself will sign this document. You sign that one there. Okay, thank you. Then we're on to section 2. So these are the figures that have been verified by our internal auditor. So when we do all our input into our finance software, which the finance committee look at month on month, this is the accumulation of the year's figures. So what we have to do is present this year's figures against last year's figures to the external auditor, and we have to address any variances either way of 15%. So I've provided you with a copy of this statement with the figures which match our finance package, which the chair and myself will sign tonight, and I've also provided you with a copy of the bank reconciliation so that you can see the final statement matches what I'm sending into the auditor, and I've sent you the explanation of the significant variances so you can see how we're explaining the differences. So if anyone's got any questions, otherwise we'll sign. Okay, so you sign there. And then you sign up. Lovely, thank you. And that is that. So I send that off to the external auditor, they'll review it, then they'll send back, if all is good, they'll send back a certificate of audit, and we must display that before the end of September. In the meantime, what I'll do is advertise the electors' rights on Friday. So I have to give the electorate a period of time in which they can come into the hub and inspect the accounts. So we'll launch the electors' rights period on Friday, and then we're good to go. Thank you.
Okay, well done.
So we move on to 13 on the agenda, and that is to consider the appeal from Bexhill Lines against the decision of the Finance and Audit Committee to stop funding the Continental Market road closure. I'd like to just add before anyone else comments, I think that lines were, as far as I know, they were promised by the Community Committee to fund for May and September. And I would like to say that we compromise for September, and we put forward that we do support them for September in this meeting, and then maybe have another meeting to see what happens for the future. But I'm happy to have a discussion. Councillor Flynn?
Yeah, I'm struggling to figure out the reasoning the Finance Committee refused the recommendation from the Community Committee. There was no fiscal reason given, and I wonder if anyone can give us the explanation as to why it was denied.
So I think the bigger picture, it was later on seen that there was a bigger picture of the price of it, the cost of it basically, of the road closures. It was meant that the town clerk and Paul would be there all day for the road closures, and we looked into that, and it wasn't. We didn't want the staff basically there for that reason, for the road closures. So I think we looked into a company that can do the road closures, which then costs, I think it was around £2,000 a day, and that's why that decision was made later on for that. That's the reason.
Yeah, it's just strange because a number of committees have come up with suggestions or recommendations using their budgets and gone through to finance, only for finance to knock them back. And nowhere have we given any fiscal reasons why they're knocking these decisions back.
I'm guessing that would be in the minutes why there would be a reason why.
I couldn't see one.
Okay. Can I, Councillor Trayson?
Yeah, I was going to say it's mainly because of the cost. In fact, it's not just the insurance. And in fact, the question would still be if we're now employing contractors for events for Bexhill Town Council, is it still our insurance, or are those contractors' insurance covering the event?
I think it was road closures that was the main thing for that, rather than insurance. It was road closures that cost the money. It wasn't insurance as far, so it's actually road closures.
Just
was the
what
reason.
was said in the public session earlier.
Okay.
In reference to
but that was the
insurance.
reason was the road closures. Councillor.
I mean, for me, this is why we are Bexhill Town Council. These are the things we should be trying to support. Obviously, financial reasons come into play. Is there not another angle we can look at this working for both parties? Because this is why I sit here, is to have these things going on in Bexhill and to work, and us to support these groups to do the work that they do. I mean, any option or viable option, is worth talking about.
Councillor L?
I agree with Councillor Carroll. We are here to support all the groups in Bexhill, and we'll do what we can. I think one of the main issues was Bexhill Town Council themselves didn't want to become event organisers. They didn't want to be part of the event in person. They wanted to be able to help with grants, donations, and if it's road closures, then move over to companies that would be able to do that on behalf of Bexhill Town Council, rather than Bexhill Town Council themselves sending the staff out.
That is correct. Yeah, I just think it just.
That's what I remember.
It was just. I think it was unfortunate that it was Bexhill Lions that before that was agreed. It just turned out it was Bexhill Lions.
Can I just reply to the Councillor Elves? Totally understand where you come from, and I get that we're not event, and I'm really glad we've stepped away from that sort of way of thinking, that we let the people who do the events organise them, but we should be there in some way to discover an avenue of making this work with the Lions, but from the outside looking in rather than having the staff inside.
Okay. Councillor. Yeah.
I wonder if I could ask Councillor Drayson to share his experience with us. When we were running Light Up Bexhill, we had road closures, we had marshals, we essentially ran an event. I don't recall it being a huge, the actual road closures and the marshalling being a huge financial issue. Our issue was mainly with paying for the lights on the tree. So can I ask Councillor Drayson to maybe comment on the financial implications of the road closures and marshals and the things that were discussed at the Finance Committee?
No, you can't. Because it involved people who were volunteers helping Light Up Bexhill as much as anyone else. They were marshals. We only used professional marshals on 2 or 3 of the points. The rest were volunteers.
Has that been suggested to the Lions?
I'm sure it has.
That is what happens.
That
Shall I
is
clarify what
happens.
happens?
It's just
They do
some key
marshalling,
ones.
but in order for the road to be closed, you need to have all of the regulations in place. You need to have those roads closed professionally under the right insurance and the right cover.
And the right signs.
And if it's under the town council's insurance, it needs to have town council supervision there for the whole period. So the reason why it was looked to include it in our programme of contracted road closures, like we're doing for Remembrance this year, is that it means that you don't have to have a member of staff on duty all day for the whole period and responsible. you know, in remembrance we get a lot of abuse, and we've had a lot of issues with road users on road closures, so it was thought that from a safety point of view as well, it's actually quite a reasonable thing to have a professional traffic management company in place. And it's not just closing the road. Me and Paul have to go around, you know, hire a van, we have to pick all the signs up from the shop, then we have to drive those signs around to where they need to be, then we have to put them out, then we have to make sure that they've all had their briefings, we have to deal with any emergencies, first aid, etc. Then at the end of the market we have to then bring those signs in, put them back in the van, drive them back to the hub. That's 2 days, and we talked about that burden on us as staff that already work 5 days a week is just too much. So we thought by including that within the remembrance package, it would help us, and that's where we kind of got to. But finance decided that they didn't want to fund it, so we were in a difficult situation.
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I couldn't make it at that meeting because I had an engagement, so I wasn't present. But knowing the amount of work that's involved with this, and I would have advocated that decision for us to back the Lions for both markets. I know myself the amount of work that's involved, and it is a big obstacle if you can't get the public liability insurance, which this company were able to facilitate. It's going to cost us quite a significant amount of money, but personally I would like to give them permission to carry on for the year. I'd like to recommend that, and then have a review at the end of the year so that we can decide how to go on the best way the next year.
I was going to say, I mean, you saying it's £2,000 for the day. I mean, it sounds like there's a lot of work. Does that include getting all the forms in place and doing all this sort of thing? In which case, I mean, twice a year, that doesn't seem sort of too excessive to have a reasonably large event. Things going on here.
Yeah. Councillor Drayson.
It was unfortunate. It wasn't the Lions that was singled out. It was the timing of when
that's what I was saying.
When this money came in. I agree that these are the kind of events we should be supporting. But is that forever and a day? Will it be for the next however long without them being required? Not the Lions, but any similar group that could now ask us, is there a limit when we won't do it? I agree that £4,000 between the two is not a problem, and it's not embarrassing. It's unfortunate that we said yes, then we said no. This is actually the system working, that they've come to full council to appeal against a decision of the Finance Committee. So I have no problem with that. It's annoying for them. But it is the system that's working. And I would definitely agree with Councillor Brailsford that we cover September and then let's discuss it in detail. Yeah. Any event, not just the Lions, any event that comes forward that involves road closure.
Yeah. Yeah, it was the Lions that were unfortunately in this. Councillor L.
If we can cover September, that would be amazing. Are we still in a position, through you, Chair, we're still in a position of using the external contractors to oversee road closures, or have we missed out on that?
I believe we were quite late for the other one for May anyway, so September would be fine, wouldn't it?
You still be right for September.
We'll still be right.
Yeah.
So if we can, and we have made promises, we'd like to keep them if possible.
I'll just take one more.
If it's just engaging a contractor to do it, is it easier if the Lions each time ask for a grant to cover that, and we let them organise it? Because if they don't have to do the paperwork or anything, they just engage the contractor.
Yeah, that was going to be my next recommendation. Is that maybe we agree to this one for September, and then, as Councillor Drayson said, we then review it again. Not just for the Lions, but for everyone.
Yeah, for anybody.
Yeah, okay. So, would you like to put your motion forward, Councillor Brailsford?
I would like to propose that we continue to subsidise the road closure facilities for the Lions for September, and then to review it at the end of the year to find out the best way forward for the community and for the Lions.
Do I have a proposal for that?
I just did it.
Oh, sorry. Do I have a seconder for that? Yeah, I've got a seconder. And then can I have a vote, please? Yeah, unanimous. Okay. And then we move on to 13B. So this is to consider costs and security implications of tablets or laptops for councillors. This was in Appendix M, which I'm sure you've all read, seeing different options of laptops, iPads, and yeah, I'd like to open that up for discussion. If anyone has any views on that. Councillor Brailsford?
Can I just, I'd be interested to know if this was a facility that was available to every councillor here, how many would be interested to take this up so that we could see what the response would be if that was available.
Yeah.
So maybe perhaps we could
Could
have
I
a show
have,
of hands.
yeah, could I have show of hands of just how many people would actually be interested in having a laptop or an iPad or for this? Okay, so it's 4 out of 10. Okay, so there are some councillors.
Can I
Yeah.
just say that the ones who already have iPads and laptops, they need to accept that question if they didn't have one as well, for that to be, because I presume it'd be for every councillor.
I mean, I haven't.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, like, councillor that's got one and didn't vote on that because she doesn't need one. But if you didn't have one, would you find that useful?
If I didn't have one and I didn't have to learn the technology, I'd sooner have a piece of paper in front of me because I can understand it.
That's
To be
right.
quite honest.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
Yeah.
But just
And
because
the idea of learning more technology,
And that's the same with myself, as I prefer a piece of paper.
I'd rather have a piece of paper.
Yeah. Councillor Drayton?
Yeah, I suppose it comes to my question for the clerk, is that successfully tonight I've now managed to get my council emails on my iPad. I download and copy like tonight's agenda and stuff on my iPad. If that is not allowed because it's my iPad and we have to go down the council route, then we need one for the council. But if it's okay as it is at the moment, then I wouldn't need another one.
I'd like to comment on one thing, is that obviously there will be some councillors that will need training for their using their, whether it's an iPad or a laptop. And I just think we may not have the resources from the staff to then do that, because there are people that will get it straight away. There's people that can need hours and hours of how to use them, and that's why I would disagree with it, to be honest. But Councillor, Councillor Goss.
Oh, from my point of view, it will be useful because I have problems at times getting in to pick up the paper stuff. Today I picked this up lunchtime this morning or something. Lunchtime, because I just, with work and other things, I just couldn't get away in time, and the hub only being open limited hours, you've only got limited time to get in there and pick the things up. So from that point of view, it would be useful, but I agree, it's much nicer to have a bit of paper you can scribble on.
just regarding the original question, I raised my hand because yes, it would be helpful, but I'm fine with paper. Like there wasn't a second option to that. I personally would like to see the money elsewhere.
Without putting too much more time into this, I'd actually like to defer it when we've got some more councillors here, if that's okay. So yeah, can I propose that we defer it for the next meeting when we've got some more councillors, and then agree?
I'll second that.
Yeah. And a vote for that, please.
Could I just ask, I know it's been deferred, just a quick question to the RDC councillors. I understand that Robert gives iPads, is that correct?
Yes.
You get
iPad or laptop.
iPad. Does that help? If they didn't, would it be a problem?
Not only does it helps towards our mission for net zero and limiting our carbon output and going paperless.
Okay.
Now, I don't know whether the town council has already established its credentials there, but if they wish to do so or make any formal declaration of an intention to go paperless or head towards net zero, then iPads are a big factor in that. Are perceived to be a big factor.
If I could just add to that, with respect, you've got a heck of a sight more paperwork to go through than we have for each of your meetings. You've got hundreds of pages.
Oh, no, I wasn't suggesting. I'm just saying that is a consideration. If the council wished to make a statement about going paperless or about being net zero, then the issue of whether you have iPads or not is a factor if you wish to make that statement as a council in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so that's been deferred to the next meeting. And then D is to adopt the updated NOW financial regulation.
Fair trade.
Sorry, to renew the council's commitment to support Bexhill as a fair trade community and to continue to provide fair trade products and services where possible. Just need a proposer and a seconder. And vote, please. And then 13D is to adopt the updated NOW financial regulations. I'll pass that over to the town clerk.
Oh, yeah, sure. So that's okay. So we've been waiting for this document for a while because the last financial regs were from 2019, and of course councils deal with much bigger budgets now compared to before. So NOWC's updated this with the things that happen now, like online banking, those sorts of things. So all I've done is, you'll see where it's red, they're the bits that I've carried forward from our old financial regs, so that I haven't changed any values. So you're not adopting any changes to the values or the restrictions that you've put on your financial regs. It's just the internal controls are a little bit more robust for the way we operate in more modern technologies now. So I think it's okay to just adopt as it is. Yeah.
Sorry, town clerk.
That's right. Yeah, that's fine.
Can I have a proposer for that? Got a proposer, Councillor Pym, and a seconder. Yeah. Got a seconder, and can I have a vote, please? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. We move on to 14. This is to note update on Town Centre Visioning Group, and I'd like to pass this over to Councillor Brailsford.
Yes, thank you. I think we had the final meeting of that last week. This particular group was just concentrating on Bexhill Town Centre specifically, and I think we've done all the work that we possibly can, and we've submitted our findings to the DMAP panel, and I don't think there's any more work that we can do on this now to progress it any more than it is. So personally, I put quite a lot of work into the vision exercise which has been submitted, and personally I'd like to see what feedback we get from the board, the town board, and then see whether there's any way where we can pick up the mantle. If there's any other improvements that we can make ourselves with our situation, then I'd be pleased for us to debate it. And it may be that this group may develop or transition into something else at a later date, but at the moment there's nothing more that we can do on this. So it's down to the town board.
Thank you, Councillor Pym.
Did you circulate the recommendations that have been passed up to the town board?
I think that happened quite some time ago.
It circulated through us. It was the one.
Yes, yes.
They were the final.
I think, yeah.
Would we be getting any feedback from that going up to them, or is it lost within their?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, I'm no longer involved with that part of it, but it's been submitted for their consideration, and it's out of my hands personally now. So
through you, Chair. So
can I?
I can answer that
just
to help you, because I was at a meeting. Yeah, I was at one of those meetings. Yeah. So what they're going to do with that document is give it to the town board, and then the town board may set up a working party to review that and to build up those ideas to submit for funding. And they suggested that the people that are involved in the visioning group would most likely be or automatically requested to be part of that working party along with others. So I think once it goes to the town board, they'll form a little working party, and then you'll be invited to take part in that, and then they'll put together the sort of the final proposals for the funding. Yeah.
Yeah, so Chair, that's my concern, was that we should be able to follow this process through, because if through the Councillor Brailsford's good work there's ideas that have been put forward via this council, and it'll be very handy to see that journey, see which ideas are being carried forward,
Yeah.
and which ideas, as Councillor Browse was pointing out, we could then sort of look at and go, well, actually, we could probably do that, and we could probably help with that one. So to keep abreast with all that information, rather than lose it in the ether.
We're on 17A as well today.
Yeah, yeah,
We've got
yeah.
ideas as well, some more ideas hopefully to put forward. But yeah, I agree. Councillor Drayson, sorry.
Yeah, you've just made reference to 17A, which I was going to ask the clerk. Given I know Councillor Pym earlier was upset that Rother Planning Department treat the town council just like the public, ours presumably won't have any special claim. It will just be in with the public, and all the other suggestions they won't specify will give us an extra bite at the cherry.
Yeah, that's why I asked for an official consultation letter, because otherwise I don't think you would have fed anything back. So we'll follow that letter and put it in from the corporate body and see if we can give it some clout.
Thank you.
I think what Councillor Pym said was a good idea as well, because if there's anything that we can take from that and do ourselves, if they don't do it, great idea. So, yeah. So, 14B, again, that's pretty much answered.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry.
I've got something to say about that. That's to note leaders' meeting taking place on the 17th of July. And I'd like to make a request that you, Councillor Hussain, would you remind Rother District Council at this leaders' meeting that I'm still waiting for a response from the last meeting, which happened on the 12th of April, when I asked for definitive information about what's happening regarding the toilet facilities at Sidley, Little Common and Coonsey Road, which weren't mentioned on the website. And I asked them if they would reconfirm their intentions in writing, whereupon it could be presented to Bexhill Town Council to respond to this issue with a conclusive vote.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'd like that recorded, and I'd like an answer to that, please.
Okay, no problem, that's noted.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'd like to move on to 15. Yep. To note, there's no further updates regarding the CCTV. And then 16, North Eye silent proposal to receive updates, I believe.
Yeah, through you, Chair, Councillor Jacqueline submitted a short report that said they aren't looking at anything until after the general election. So we've just got to wait now.
Okay. And then this is 17 is the town board. So again, we've been asked if we can send them our consultation letter with 2 ideas from each councillor. You may have the same idea, that's not a problem if you've got the same idea, because what we're going to do is collect the ideas today and then send that off. So as I said, if we've got 10 of the same idea, then they may listen and think that's a good idea and do it. So I don't think that you have to have your own, every council has to have their own idea. I'd like to ask everyone individually, just go around the room, but if you can just have a minute, please, just make it quick with your ideas, and then we will note them. Yeah, we will note the ideas and then send that off for the 17th of July. So, can I start with Councillor Browse?
Yes, thank you. More than anything, obviously you submitted the vision exercise, but on the response of the original thing that we did, our questionnaire, the most predominant request from residents was to restore the fountains. And I would like to make that a priority. That's all I want to say about that.
Okay, thank you. Councillor L.
Well, I was going to say concentrate on seafront a little bit, but the fountains, absolutely the right thing that we want to see. Restore.
I have 2, Chair. The first one would be, if we're not restoring the fountains, let's build something new, prominent in like Edgerton Park or something like that regarding water for children. It's obvious that it's needed, it's obvious it's fun. The fountains on the seafront, if they're not going to work, let's build something. I was at a park on Thursday up in London, and they've got a big water, and it was full of children laughing and making all the right noises. We got that. The second thing was the Link Road walk. We got a nice nature reserve there for all access. We could make the access a lot better there, and that's really starting to flourish now with wildlife and everything taken over. I think it's worth the investment, and to get people active and walking again. There's still bits of that needs to be finished properly, so wheelchairs have got access to it, etc. And that for me, I think would be great for the community.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Flynn?
Yeah, just before I come up with a couple of ideas myself, last or previous year we did a big survey around town. We got the findings of that survey, but we've not really been able to utilise all of them.
Okay.
Would it be possible for this council to submit those findings to the town board? Because there's a huge amount of ideas in there that the public suggested to us, and it was ideally collated, lovingly collated by the staff, and the data is just absolutely superb. And I think instead of it going to a waste, if that whole data can be passed up to the town board, they can utilise that and find out what the people of Bexhill actually wanted. I know Rother were very interested in the findings at the time, and so I think this is an ideal opportunity not to sort of leave it on the shelf, but to actually utilise
it's there and it's worth using it, isn't it? Yeah. Okay.
That aside, the ideas I have, one of them's bubbling under within the amenities committee. When we last met, I did ask a question there, if we could liaise with East Sussex County Council and the Town Board to renovate the Twittons and footpaths that run through Bexhill. It ties in with a lot of the issues that the Town Board are asking for, safety and security, lighting, heritage, regeneration and transport and connectivity. And I think that's an area that they could probably concentrate on. The other suggestion I would have was to really look at the Polegrove and really look at what's happening there, because the facilities that we've got there are hanging on. They are a really dedicated team of people in the football club, the bowling club and the cricket club, but their actual area could do with a really big boost of money, and that is an area that perhaps the town board can actually concentrate on, because it's nothing that town council are doing regarding it. We haven't got the funds for that. The district council obviously haven't got the funds for that, because they're not even going to be cutting the grass soon there for the length of time that they were previously. And county council just is bypassed them, it's not in their remit. And so I really do think that the town board will be able to take on board the Polegrove and update it and make it a tourist attraction rather than at the moment what it is, it's hanging on. It's hanging on.
Thank you. Councillor Drayson?
I was going to say, I'm kind of interested, I suppose, connected with Bexhill United and a member of Bexhill Bowling Club and the Open Tournament. I agree very much with the Polegrove idea, because it's in a bit of a no man's land. The last time the clubs met with Rother was in December. They still don't really have an idea. It went to Cabinet earlier this month. They still really haven't got a clue of if they're going to be able to buy any of the equipment. The fact that there still has to be an open public park, even though they're the ones that are maintaining it. I gather Rother might be doing the outside bit, but anything inside the path has to be the clubs themselves. So I'd like to see that something to do with Polegrove, although it is quite hard because it is a sports event, and I gather in the leases it will specifically include the horse show, but it has to be available for the horse show.
Just remember we have 1 minute, if that's all right.
Sorry, yes. Nothing else, Chair.
Okay, thank you, sorry. Councillor Bell?
Fountains.
Okay.
And I don't know how to phrase this to package it, and I'm sure it feeds into what Councillor Plym was saying about the survey, and that would be to put, first of all, to have a disabled access audit of the town and to make money available to upgrade various paths, various curbs. That I was contacted by a very active and very interested wheelchair user, and he said he'd be interested in doing something like that. Okay. But that was just a casual conversation. If we could turn that into something formal, whereby we commission some, preferably wheelchair users or carers, to go around the town and to put money there, not just to say, wouldn't it be nice if?
Okay, yeah, thank you.
I second the Polegrove, definitely, and the fountains. Okay. But I'd also like to see some development to take our visitors to the east of our town versus the west. along East Parade. It's totally underutilised. So I'd like to have East Parade development. In fact, there was a plan long before I became a district councillor that was sort of like a sister plan to the west, but it never happened because there wasn't enough money. So it'd be nice to resurrect that.
Okay,
thank you.
Councillor Thomas.
The main question I got asked, apart from the Bexhill bypass and Hastings bypass, which is also quite a big one, but more locally, it's to improve facilities, particularly sports facilities for the youngsters.
Okay. Yep. Councillor. Councillor Goss.
I mean, apart from the fountains, obviously. I mean, if not, they could put some sort of paddling feature there for the kids or something like that, which wouldn't cost them £1 million. And other than that, is do something about the parking in East Sussex, really, because the number of people parking is very limited anyway, and needs something radical done. And most of their machines are out of order most of the time.
I'm not sure that's what the money's for. I think they can't.
It's bringing people into the town, and they turn around and go if they can't.
Okay, that's fine. I'd like to add, if that's okay. I'd say sports facilities, same as Councillor Thomas, and obviously everyone knows my thing is like a crazy golf, something like that. Something for families, basically. I won't keep going with that crazy golf, but something for families on our seafront. Again, like your fountains, but an addition around that area to bring families in onto our seafront and have a family area on our seafront where the fountains are, basically. And as I said, there's lots of, we've got a massive promenade there where there's people that will want a peaceful promenade, there's people that will want, as I said, they want to walk their dogs, but there are families that want to bring their families to the seafront and have an area for them. So that's my addition for that. So that's 17. So we will. I've written some down as well. So, yeah. So that will get sent off to the town board, including the survey that was done. Yeah, including the survey. So, yeah. Okay. Moving on. So with 18. So that's the accessible play park for Pebsham. And it's to note that the sealed tenders were open today.
Yes.
Yeah, we had a look at them, and at the next meeting there will be prices and contractors, and then I think that'll go to a vote.
Yeah, next meeting.
Yeah, so that's that. And then B is to consider request from Pebsham Community Association for £16,000 from the sealed funds to install changing places toilet to support accessible play area. So I'd just like to have thing on that. There is the closest accessible toilet to the Pebsham Park would be Tesco's in Ravenside. So that would definitely be needed there. There is an outside door to the toilets, so if the centre isn't open, they are accessible from a door from the outside of the community centre, and that's what I'd just like to say before we have any. And Councillor L.
So just want to say, I'll be speaking to the hub myself as well, just so there's no confusion. There was an idea of a change in places at the hub, and then I believe there is one to be looked at in the town centre, Edgerton Park. Is there a change in places?
Edgerton Park's open, yeah.
What they're asking for now isn't actually changing places. Changing places is a little bit different. What they're asking for is this money to change what they have at the moment. They don't have any disabled toilets at all. They would like to incorporate disabled toilets into the toilet space they have now. Obviously keep the men and women toilets as well. And they want to do it in such a way, they're looking into how that's possible now. There are plans out there. It would either be with an external door where people can come in, or a motorised door for their front door that people would be able to use when the centre isn't open as well, for external residents to use, as well as their own They run groups and clubs, obviously, in there, and there are a lot of people that come in with certain disabilities, wheelchair users as well, that don't have the access to any toilets at all. So what they're looking for is to be able to create something there for themselves and also help us to tie into the accessible play part we've got in terms of what we're going to have, hopefully, in Bexhill as well. So it isn't a change in places, but it is a disabled toilet that we're looking for.
Okay. Any other? Councillor, please.
Rather than us make a decision on this now, and we're not really too sure what they're asking for because we've just said it's been changed. Normally, if people come to us to ask for a donation or grant, we get to see whether they're financially viable as an organisation. And we've got no background to this group at all. That doesn't mean that there's concern, but we've got to do due diligence, and we've got to make sure that they apply in the appropriate manner, and not just one motion to say £16,000 and we go, yeah, here you go. It's a bit loose. I'd just like a little bit more rigidity to the actual application, and it's consider request. So, yeah, consider request, we consider it, but I think we should be asking for a little bit more information, and if anything, ask them to fill out the application forms for grants and donations through our policy. I know it's above the policy, but that's where finance can then direct it straight back up to us with the paperwork, with all the due diligence done for the organisation, and then we can consider it with in an appropriate manner.
Yeah. Councillor Drayson, did you have a...
Yeah, no, I was thinking about Rother, but the disabled facilities grants are for houses. And I don't think we've had one since 2021 where there was a general disabilities grant available for public things.
Councillor,
unfortunately it's not.
I don't believe it was for a grant or donation, and the change in place changed a long time ago. The quote that they've got at the moment is for a disabled toilet, it's not for change in places. So nothing changed there, there was just a mistake in the wording, and I don't believe it's for grants and donations. They're actually using what we've done for Bexhill Heritage as precedent. Which also wasn't grants and donations, and it did just come in without any due diligence. The way that we managed to use seal money for themselves. That's why they specifically asked for seal funds. So pretty much the same as what we agreed to on agenda number.
Through wheelchair, Bexhill Heritage came to us with costings. And we're able to look at that and say, oh yeah, that's legitimate.
I believe there are costings for this. There is a quote for this.
Yeah, I've got it on my screen here. Sorry.
Yeah, we did get it. It's just there's no...
Oh yeah, sorry, do apologise.
Yeah, I was going to say that I've seen that and I've gone through it. Yeah. And it all made marvellous sense to me, and I thought it would be a fantastic use for our cell money.
I do apologise, but it doesn't make much sense to me. It's just a quote at the end.
Well, this is an itemised quote I've got here. Saying exactly what
the figure at the end of it.
Yeah, I think Councillor Bloom's referring to the fact that is that the whole cost? Is what other funding have they got? That's just a quote for the work. There's not an explanation of the project, and
I thought they were adapting
the facilities. Are we supposed to be paying it all, are we?
I thought they were adapting the facilities they've already got to make an additional disabled facility.
I know what they're doing. We know what they're doing.
But you thought
we know what the total cost going to be, but are we the only people? It's just very loose. Very loose.
Okay. So I guess it is there to consider, and then I'll put that to a vote and then see what we get from it. Okay. Do I have a proposer for it? Yeah. Do I have a second? And then can I have a vote, please? Maybe consider.
So we're voting to consider. Are we saying when we're going to consider?
I guess
you're considering the request, so you're either going to say yes to the request or no to the request.
So we're voting on 16 grand, yes or no?
Yes.
With the detail that we've got at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
And obviously it can come
just checking
back if it's worded wrong, or if the quotes, as Councillor Pym said, loose, then I guess they can send some more quotes in. And I just asked, sorry, if am I doing, is that right?
Yeah, they've
asked for it.
They've asked for it, they've presented the quote, and they've said, please could we have £16,000 seal money to make the accessible toilet to complement the play area.
Yeah.
That's what you're being asked
Yeah,
to
that's
decide
unfortunately
tonight.
not what it says here. It
Yeah,
says
every
a
time
changing
everyone's talked
places
to me about it,
toilet.
they've used the
Yeah.
word changing places.
Yeah,
so
which
I
is
put that on
wrong.
from conversations.
Yeah.
Then after the agenda had gone out and we got the quote, it's not a changing place.
No.
But it is a fully accessible
Yeah.
toilet, accessible from outside of the building. So the building can be locked.
Yeah. No,
if
I
you're at the
understand
play
that.
area,
Yeah.
you can still get access to the toilet.
I'll put it to the vote. Councillor, and then I want to put it to a
Just
vote.
before we
That's
vote,
okay.
just so everyone's comfortable with what they're voting for, through you, Chair, again, was there an email sent by them to request this at all?
What did I say? I sent it round to councillors.
We saw the quote, would we be able to see what it says on the email?
Pepsham Community Hub has been at the heart of Pepsham Community, overseeing a variety of exercise groups, play groups, training courses, many different events, family gatherings and a lot of memory making and socialising over the last 40 plus years. The one area that we do need to deal with to make our community building more inclusive to visitors of various disabilities is the toilet facilities. Although our toilets are on the same level ground as the halls, we don't have disabled toilets, which impacts and creates unnecessary distresses to those with challenging disabilities, especially those in wheelchairs or other walking aids who cannot get through the toilet doors as they're not wide enough. This does prevent residents with disabilities from attending local groups and events, as they can't use the toilets in the hub and would have to go home to use their own facilities, which isn't ideal as they're missing out on a lot of activities in the hub. I'm aware that at the last council meeting, the council agreed to fund some work on bus shelters using unspent seal money. Pepsham Community Hub would now like to ask if the Bexhill-on-Sea Town Council would consider providing this funding to install disabled toilet facilities on the same precedent. This would also help expand the offering in the area, with an accessible play park hopefully being installed in the very near future on the recreation ground next to us. We feel this is an extremely important asset to have and offer, especially as our plans consist of public access from the outside of the building for the disabled toilet.
Okay. So I'd like to put that to a vote, if that's okay, because that's what they've asked. So I had a proposer, a seconder, yeah. And then can we put that to a vote whether we'd like to give them the 16,000 for the toilets, please?
Who's Daniel Hill?
That's
Company.
so okay. And who's against? Anyone abstaining? Sorry, can I just say who's against again? Could you? Right, and abstaining? We've got 5, 4,
It's passed.
and 3. Okay, so that's passed. Thank you. Moving on, 19, A, so this is the putting green. We had a response from Robber, and it was a no, basically, to a long-term lease. So, yeah, so what I'd like to do with this is, as it's my motion, I'll just put it on the back burner for now, and maybe see if we can speak to Robert or see if there are any other councillors.
Could you just qualify the facts there? Because there are so many events already planned and committed this year on that area, there's no way that a lease could be given to you or us. And because it is a public area, I think that the way to look at this is look at it a little bit differently, in that not a long-term lease, but an area that when you look at certain times, this is when you can do crazy golf. So you put it in as an event.
It wouldn't be professional. Putting a pop-up.
It might be.
Putting a pop-up putting green or crazy golf. It may be okay, but we're looking at I won't say. Don't know if I can say it, but even yourself, you sent me about the Hastings crazy golf tournament.
Yeah.
World
No,
crazy.
I'm totally for it.
Why shouldn't we be able to, as Bexhill, be the same as Hastings and have a world tournament? Why do we have to have a pop-up one? Which is great for a year to try it out and see if it works.
Yeah.
But in the long run, why shouldn't Bexhill have a world tournament crazy golf area?
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
Yeah, but to understand why it's no this year.
But it's not a no this year. It's been no to long term. So that's it. It's not about this year. We've been told no by Rother long term.
That's not correct.
I believe we've got an email from Rother to say no to long term.
Well, I spoke with the officers today, and there was no paperwork sent in, no information sent in. So,
do you want me to read it out?
Yes,
So I put, hi Deborah, the councillors asked me to request that RDC confirm, because she'd said no before about a long term, and you asked me to go back and verify that it's still a no. So I said the councillors asked me to request that RDC confirm if they would be in agreement to consider a long-term lease of the lawns to the town council in the future for a crazy golf course. I appreciate there have been a few emails about this, but the last decision of the council was to ascertain RDC's intentions with regard to a long-term lease before anything else is progressed. Deborah said, I believe you discussed with Joe Powell recently about future high-level intentions for the lawns to be available for use by different groups of the community, and so I'm sorry to say the answer is no. We are not able to confirm the consideration of a long-term lease to Bexhill-on-Sea Town Council at this time. Sorry, I can't be of more help.
So the key words are at this time.
But still a no.
It's a no for this year.
So what do we go back next year and then they say the same thing?
No, we just keep plugging away.
That's fine. But as I said, I think with that, personally, just put it on the back burner for now, and we'll go from there. But yeah, Councillor Carroll.
I'd like to thank you for bringing that to the table and putting it out there. I think it was a great positive idea. Perhaps it could go at the east side of Bexhill.
Yeah.
We've got councils here that want something going on the east side of Bexhill and want the golf here. Let's get it up that end.
I did suggest that once when we were discussing it.
And actually today, when you said about the east, I was actually going to message you later and say, maybe look at that over there and see. My only thing with that is obviously visitors into the town don't really go up there, but and that's again a reason.
It would be the crazy golf stand.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So there's still. I don't want to give up on it.
No,
I don't want to give up on it. I really think it will bring. But that is something that we can.
Would we be able to go back to Rother now again and ask for any possibilities on the east side?
I think the answer.
I think it would be good to have discussions maybe with Councillor Timper if that's okay, out and then go from there maybe. Councillor Flynn.
Yeah, with that in mind, that idea is probably worth we all lobby our district councillors and see whether they are able to persuade the officers that they need to be a little bit constructive in their discussions with us instead of being negative with no.
It was a very big no, wasn't it? Rather than
Councillor Drayson.
I'll have a severe word of myself. But I was just going to say, is it too late to add that? Because it's the crazy golf idea was on our submission to the vision exercise, wasn't it? But was that pinned on the lawns? Or can that just say somewhere along the seafront?
We were.
And the east is the obvious place.
Well, when I did the vision exercise, I imagined it being at the Metropole Lawns, but I mean, if it's a vision, it's not set in concrete, it's anything would do.
As I said, I don't want to give up on it, so it's something we can look at and then maybe bring back. If that's okay. So I'd like to move on. So the vision exercise. This is just a note for later. That's just noting for later on this year that we'll have a vision exercise at some point. 21. So external representatives of the council to receive reports from external representatives. We've got Rauk, which is Councillor Wilson, and Councillor Jacqueline, which aren't here, so there won't be any updates from there. Councillor Byrne.
Thank you. Apologies for not having submitted this the requisite number of days before, but I only got this this morning. I'll summarise but I will be sending it into Julie for issuing with the minutes. Essentially, CAB being very active at the moment. Their big thing at the moment is energy advice, and going out to the rural areas, advising people. Last time I spoke about this, I was worried that their approach was alongside a lot of scams. A lot of people were being phoned up and I'm your local energy advisor. Now they've modified that. They now have 5 trained staff who are trained energy advisors, and one of the first things they are doing is advising people how not to get trapped into a scam, or how not to get trapped into fitting inappropriate energy saving devices. So there's more on that which I'll expand upon. Their other big push is digital inclusion. They're now running far more courses for both young and old. A lot of young people have problems in that the only way you can apply for some jobs and some benefits is online. And a lot of those benefits should go to people who are less able, and if you're less able, you are less able online. So there's a lot of work going on to make sure that these services are easy to use, and also there are volunteers on hand to help people use them. So there's a lot of intergenerational and help for young people with digital inclusion. And the last bit is opening hours. They're now open on Friday for a drop-in, as well as the rest of the week. There's a plea from Tracy Dighton, the CEO of the Bexhill of 1066 CAB. If councillors would drop in, there are a lot of leaflets, and she said when your councillors have surgeries, it would be really good if they could actually disseminate this information, all the stuff that is available. So I don't know how many of you hold surgeries, but certainly it would be worth your while for your own information to see what's available in the town, to drop into the CAB, and even if you don't pick up the leaflets, the whole range of stuff that's there, and it's very useful when you're being approached by someone saying, I've got a problem with this or a problem with that. Don't reinvent the wheel. Don't necessarily go straight to customer services. Rather, you may find there's already a volunteer group really targeted on the problem you're hoping to solve. So that's, as I say, I'll put a fuller report in for the next, for inclusion with the minutes, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Here you go.
Okay, thank you.
Good luck.
And then we're quite tight on time, so we've got Bexhill Air Cadets, but the Mayor's not here.
I attended the meeting, and the Mayor wasn't here, but he sent his apologies for the meeting as well, he was on holiday. Just to say, they're a thriving group. The leaders are struggling because they are running the Hastings and the Bexhill group. Amongst the youth cadets at Bexhill, we've managed to find our mayoral cadet, and they're just waiting for the tabards to be, I think they're brassard, what they call brassard?
Yeah.
Brassard on them, to be signed off, and they're looking forward to participating in civic events that we take part in. 25 members they've got in Bexhill and 25 in Hastings.
Yeah, I think we met him together, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And then Bexhill Maritime, Councillor Tim.
For Bexhill Maritime. There's had to been a huge rethink on the plans, mainly because of infrastructure of Southern Water. So Bexhill Maritime have had to go back to the drawing board, and there's a meeting with Rother planners and various officers and myself to talk about the new plan that they have and whether it's actually viable. So it's a bit tricky.
Okay. And then, thank you. Moving on to Littlegate Farm from Councillor Jacqueline. Councillor Jacqueline's not here. No updates. And then
It wasn't an email earlier today.
oh, okay.
Yes, I've read it.
I did circulate it.
Yeah, that's been circulated, yeah. And then the town board, it's Councillor Wilson. Again, that's been circulated, I believe. Okay.
Just one point on the town board. I think we need to verify a decision that Councillor Wilson's made on himself, rather than the board making the full council make a decision. In his third paragraph down, he says about deputies, and this has now changed, that for any reason I'm unable to attend, then my deputy will attend. I think that's something that we should agree on, rather than that he makes that decision himself, just to cover him up.
I thought he was invited personally to join the town board,
But
personally, rather than as an
we ratified it.
I think that all changes soon anyway, doesn't it? As far as I'm aware, they're going to take a vote on who's on there. So he may not even be invited on there, as far as
I'm just saying that it makes a mockery of us appointing people to committees and outside organisations if we've got a councillor self-appointing somebody. That's not to say it's a wrong decision, it's just that it's not the procedural right way to do it, unless I'm wrong.
I don't think we appointed him.
Can I just... I agree with Councillor Burnley that he was never appointed as a councillor, he was appointed as Paul Wilson.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it. It was Councillor Paul Wilson, not Mayor
No.
Paul Wilson. It was just Paul Wilson.
Yeah.
And Councillor Wilson hasn't got a deputy.
It's up to you, isn't it? It's up to you. That's a political. It's up to you.
I mean, if you'd like to take a vote on it, I'm happy to...
Well, who's he identifying as his deputy? Is he speaking as mayor, deputy, or is he speaking as councillor?
Can we defer it to the next meeting? Is that okay?
He can name anyone that's not the councillor.
If we could defer that because he's not here.
As an individual.
Okay, yeah, let's defer that for the next meeting if that's okay. So moving on. Yeah, moving on to 22. Motions from councillors. So Councillor Drayson's motion. Do I have a seconder for that? Okay, can I have a seconder? Councillor Thomas.
Can I just explain, because I know Councillor Flynn made reference earlier to the planning committee, and it would have said the planning committee, but for the reasons we've discussed tonight, the consultation shuts on the 23rd of July. So it can't wait for the planning committee.
Okay.
And I think it's important that this council puts in a view. Individual councillors can as well, and it's important that they do. And I have a personal copy of it, which I will let a group have if they want it.
And then as in community group to do it.
That'd be no plan.
Right, okay, sorry. Okay. Okay. Sorry, Councillor Flynn.
Yeah, a further point to that. If we're making a response to Rother District Council's draft local plan, it's probably not wise to have that many Rother District councillors on our response.
Oh no, definitely not.
Definitely not. No.
So whoever's going to be on there will have to be solely a Bexhill Town Council.
Absolutely.
Okay. Can I have a vote of that then, please? If we've got a second.
Well, I agree on second.
So
then we're going to have to discuss who.
Okay. So,
Can we just
do you want to? Yeah. Can we clarify, Councillor Drayson, what we're voting for?
Is to set up a small group, numbers to be, I would say, no more than 4 probably. But the numbers are up to you to look at the local plan, specifically the Bexhill section, but all the other sections that aren't geographical are about the plan. And why I say that currently the planning decisions are based on a core plan which was approved in 2014 and the DASA allocations, which was
designated area and site allocation.
That's it, which was approved in 2019. We've got to work on another one, and we are working on one. But all the current decisions that go to planning, because they are so old, they are now considered out of date. So people can come, developers can come to us and say, I know that's outside the development boundary, but your plans are out of date, so we can ask to build there. And it gets harder and harder for us to say no. So going forward, this local plan will have things about that you would want, we would want, rather to say, don't build in that sort of area, don't build that.
I've just asked a question. Just ask a question on that. So if this happens, will Rother actually listen to us? I know you won't be able to
Well,
answer.
yeah, no, in the sense that everyone else, if 800, I mean, the presentations have been well attended. There were 100 a couple of weeks ago here. There were 100 plus at Battle.
Just don't want to form this.
So those 800, 900 people could all be put in. They won't go specifically look for Bexhill, but in 3 years' time, when all the planning decisions will be taken based on that local plan, we can't then go, well, that's a silly idea, because we haven't said now that's a silly idea.
Councillor Plym.
I think we heard from one of the officers dealing with this, and there's no response to any of the public consultations. So there is nothing to say they're going to listen to anyone through this.
No,
and that is the sad thing about it. The cuts and cuts and cuts that have happened to local government over these past couple of decades have meant that planning departments have not got the appropriate people in there in order to deal with these issues.
So could I just put in this?
And if we ourselves are going to have a really hard time because we can't get this done. We can't get set up a working group with people involved when there's only us here at the moment. There's not enough people here, and it's got to be done by the 26th of July. The full council isn't until the 24th of July.
The consultation did open considerably earlier.
The alternative to this would be every councillor, please go online, complete the consultation,
yes,
and have your say.
I've done it.
Sorry, Councillor Carroll.
Another problem we're not looking at, if we was going to go for a minimum of 4 people, you've only got 7 councillors here that can be on that for. So it's, you know, it's,
I'm going to put it to a vote anyway, if that's okay. I have a seconder, and then I'd like to put it to a vote if you'd like to form a small working party. So who's for?
It's crazy.
Sorry, can you just raise your hands again?
Yeah.
Sorry.
You need to.
Okay, and against? Abstaining? That's carried.
Yeah, can I clarify then?
Yeah.
Because we know working parties can't make any decisions, so that's got to come back to full council. So can we appoint those 4 people now and agree the terms of reference so that we can book a meeting and they can do their research, prepare the report, and then bring it back to full council in July?
So, is that a question, or are you?
It is a question. It's on this procedure because the next council meeting is the 24th. The consultation closes on the 23rd. I know we've just agreed it, but we agreed it because of the abstentions more than the people voting against, which leaves us in a position of we cannot meet deadline for consultations, especially as at the next council people might want to debate and argue and change what the working party have come up with. So I don't know if I can even at this late stage say let's forget about that. I'll withdraw my motion and encourage every councillor to take part in the consultation, please.
Yeah. I'd like to move forward just because we've got 10 minutes just to... Yeah, can we... So you'd like to...
Yes,
retract
please.
that? Yeah, okay. That's fine. Moving...
sorry, Joe. Can we share the link for the consultation with all councillors as a point of interest to fill that in?
Yeah.
So can I just say
on the website?
If we share it to everyone that's not here, though.
Yeah, we've had a couple of presentations by Jeff about the local plan to the planning committee, and other councillors have come along. So I'll reshare that, and you can see what we've already talked about.
Yeah, they have got a questionnaire for people to fill in, and I went to St Mark's yesterday and had a look, and I've got lots of questions and statements as a result of that.
Okay. I'd like to just move forward, so we've got 10 minutes left. Next one is 22B, Councillor Wilson. So I would like to propose that he would, through him basically, the Bexhill-on-Sea Town Council for the year 2024 to 2025 support the chosen charity of the Mayor, that being Sidley Cricket Club, and it says report. I didn't realise that. Has everyone read the report on that?
Sorry,
I think it's
I wasn't sure whether councillors could submit motions in their absence.
We have in the past allowed another councillor to propose it.
Okay.
Okay. So do I have a seconder
Second.
for the second? Okay. And can I have a vote for the charity for the mayor?
I haven't read it, so I don't know what I'm signing up for.
It's the charity for the mayor.
I know, but I don't know what commitments we've got to make to it, so I don't know.
I presume it's moral support.
As far as I'm aware, yeah. As far as there's no commitments, it is just that
Oh, is it just
underneath his email will say that's his chosen charity.
Yes.
Yes, he did state that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that is it. So there's no like monetary from us.
We're giving him permission to raise, to quote
awareness
us, a
for the
supporting-
charity. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've had a proposal. I've had a second. Can I have a vote on it, please? Unanimous. Okay. Thank you very much. Next motion is Councillor L's motion that the Town Council prioritise its investigations into town rangers, expanding the project to include cutting grass, cleaning toilets, painting over graffiti, clearing up fly tipping as examples. Yeah, I think that's great. Sorry, can I get a second? Sorry. I'm nearly there. I will get it right next one. But just before you say something, I need to get a second. That's okay. Yeah. Okay, it's been seconded.
So I know it might be a really out there idea. In my mind it works, but obviously I need everyone's input in this, or as many of you as you can. My idea is that we've got so much that we can do in the town that we have to wait for others to do for us. We have to wait for district, we have to wait for county. If we've got a team of 2, 3, 4, 5 rangers that we can pay a wage to, and I know it sounds excessive, however, if you think of all the jobs that they'll be able to do for us on a day-to-day basis, and we can pick up the phone and say, John, Dave, Maureen, whoever the ranger is, can you please go and clean the toilets? Can you please cut the grass here? Can you please paint over some graffiti over there? Just day-to-day jobs that we can get done by snapping our fingers and making sure that we can actually make a difference in the town. Fix this, paint that. I noticed what was spoken about earlier, and we waited for quite a long time for them to get painted over and have their yearly maintenance. And all these things we're paying for separately. We're sending out for tender, we're waiting, it's taking us meeting over meeting to agree. Moreover, these are also jobs that maybe the county need a hand on, district need a hand on, and we could use this as an asset almost and say, you want to use our rangers? This much, please. And instead of taking all the invoices from Robert, maybe we can give him an invoice now and again as well. But I know it's a different kind of idea, but it's just something that in my head seems to work as part of our team, so I'm not sure what everyone else thinks about it.
Second it.
Yeah, we've already had a second.
Sorry.
Yeah. Any?
I just want to know whether the clerk has got the capacity to actually push everything aside to prioritise this. What's going to fall as a result?
I think the plan was, where we've spoken to the town clerk, is that obviously they will start looking into this. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. This is something that obviously they'll start looking into, planning it, seeing where we're going to store all the town rangers' equipment, things like that. So yeah, that discussion has been had with the town clerk that, you know, that's happy to sort of start looking into it. Okay. So I'm going to take a vote on that, if that's okay. Yeah, another vote, please. Okay. Unanimous. Thank you. Yeah, so that'll start being looked into. It will take a while. Obviously, it's got to be budgeted for. But yeah. Next one is Councillor Crotty. So again, I will propose that for him, and whatever it is, he's asking for more training, another training session, sorry, for understanding autism in the workplace. Do I have a seconder for that?
Just a bit clearer, isn't it? For us to do.
For us to do again.
Is that any different to what we've done before?
So,
who's providing training?
So we have had a discussion about. Do I have a seconder, just so I can?
Chair, could I propose that we defer this to the next meeting because Councillor Crotty's not here and we've got lots of
discussion. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we defer that. Yeah, so we'll defer that to the next meeting. If that's okay. 23 is correspondence and matters for information. There's no correspondence to discuss. And then 24 is to receive answers to questions raised at last meeting. You've seen the questions there and they've been answered. Okay. And then B is to receive any questions from councillors today. No? Okay. To note any future agenda items, as far as I'm aware there's none. And then to consider any new risks to be added to the risk register, and there are none. And yeah, next meeting is 24th of July. I'd like to close the meeting.
Well done, Chair.
Well done.